Thanks for joining this afternoon for the sponsored session between Claritas and First Service Credit Union called How to Outperform Your Competitors in 3 Steps. Before we jump in, we want to thank the Financial Brand Forum and thank all of you in the room for joining us. We know there's a lot of sessions going on, so spending 45 minutes with us today, we appreciate it. Yeah. So I'm Michael Ciccolone. I've been with Claritas for 8 years now. I lead a small team that is dedicated to partnering with credit unions and community banks to help them better understand the financial behaviors and attitudes of their members and customers so you could go out in market and find more of your best customers. Prior to joining Claritas, I spent the first 12 years of my career at the Nielsen Company, bouncing around different Nielsen units and mainly playing in the digital and in big data space. So it's a pleasure to be here today alongside my partner and friend, Nolan Waltman. Nolan, you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Nolan Waltman, Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer with First Service Credit Union. Been there about 17 years. It'll be 17 years this year. My CEO hired me when I was 12, and so I've been working with them ever since. But no, I came up to the branches. I've, for the past 3 years or so, been working very closely with the marketing group and Claritas, and excited to show you guys some of the things that we've learned along the way.
Texas apparently doesn't have labor laws, right? 12 years old, your mom had to kind of sign on for that. All right, so we're going to cover off on several topics. We're going to start by talking about why a financial services segmentation solution is critical for success and when to consider working with a different data partner. Next, how to leverage segmentation insights to craft marketing messages that resonate, and what to do if your digital ad platform suspends access to your ad serving account. Hopefully that doesn't happen to many of you in here, but if it does, Nolan's got the blueprint, and a roadmap for how you should respond. Last but not least, we'll talk about which measurement and attribution solutions are the most important. So everyone knows that segmentation is important, and for banks and credit unions, it's critically important, and you need a segmentation model that is built from trusted data sources with accurate and reliable information and with industry standards in mind. Claritas YCLE Premier is that segmentation model. The model itself has been around for 50 years. It is the flagship segmentation system within Claritas for financial services. And the model itself has 60 segments that roll into 12 unique life stage groups. Segment 1 is the most affluent, segment 60 is the least affluent, and there are 58 segments in between. All of those segments are built and comprised of 8 core drivers, including income, age, urbanicity, presence of children, home ownership, technology use, income producing assets, and home value. And so what makes YCLE so valuable is that you can take action against the data. So it's insights that lead to actionability, and a lot of what Nolan and I are going to speak to today is how First Service Credit Union took action leveraging this data. So, Nolan, you want to kind of talk about your journey with YCLE, how you got started, and what you were hoping to accomplish with the data?
Yeah, so for many years, our marketing group tried to cast a large net and just kind of see what works. We were doing a lot of different channels of advertising through radio, your traditional TV, social media, things like that, but we weren't very intentional. Being in a city of 7 million people, we realized that we didn't really need to be all things to all people. Let's find out which segments that align with the credit union, and let's design products and services that are specific to them, and let's be experts in that area.
So to say that a little bit differently, you guys moved from kind of a spray and pray shotgun type marketing model to more precision marketing and spear phishing and being, again, intentional on who you want to target that's going to be a good fit for the credit union.
Yep.
All right, so looking at these segments again, these are the 60 segments I just referenced. You're seeing all 60 segments in the life stage groups that they roll into. And Nolan, you guys took kind of a unique approach to this, and you guys identified 3 core life stage groups, Y3, F2, and M2, to target. Do you want to talk about how you got there?
Sure, yeah. The first, the upscale earners and the wealthy achievers That was two segments that were pretty easy for us to choose. We work in Houston, and it's a very big energy town, a lot of oil and gas companies. In fact, a lot of our sponsor groups and our origin story is working with some of these companies like KBR, Baker Hughes, Halliburton, Centerpoint, some companies you guys have probably heard of. And a lot of times we actually had offices in their corporate building. So we already had kind of a foothold in that area, so to speak. So that was very easy for us to choose. The one where we kind of had a little debate and back and forth was the fiscal fledglings. The fiscal fledglings are a group that typically they're younger in their life. They work paycheck to paycheck, or maybe in college and don't have a paycheck at all. We felt that there was some opportunity in the Houston area to go after these groups and design some products that would complement where they are. And so we designed, and so encompassing all three of these groups, I mean, we redesigned our website, we're redesigning our branches. Our branches have a whole new look and feel. And so we're really leaning all into this segment group. And if you do fall into these groups, to you, our advertisements are playing everywhere that you are. And so we're very intentional with where we're spending our marketing dollars.
Yeah, so you guys took a hybrid approach. So because every U.S. household has a cycle segment tied to it, one of the core use cases for the data is lookalikes. So you guys took a two-pronged approach of going after lookalikes of the segments that you do best with, but then also targeting opportunity groups, kind of the future consumer based on the products and services that you're offering.
Yeah, we really thought the fiscal fledgling was our biggest area of improvement because these individuals are often paycheck to paycheck, and they're at that point in their life, they're either trying to build credit or establish credit and get ready to buy their first car or their first house. And we thought that there was a lot of products that were missing in the area. I know you can go into any financial institution and get a secured credit card or a secured loan and establish credit, but a lot of times you have to put money up front to get into those products, and to these individuals that can be a pretty big barrier to entry. And so we kind of went back to the drawing board, and we have some secured products designed for these individuals that will not only help them establish credit, but it will there's no barrier to entry, and so it's very attractive to those consumers. And then when we sprinkle in some financial literacy along the way, we're hoping that as they progress in life and in their careers, that they will graduate from a fiscal fledgling right into an upscale earner.
So you've got your three life stage groups, but you guys wanted to take it one step further and kind of layer on additional insights through the use of focus groups. Kind of talk through that process a little bit more.
Yeah, so we found our groups and we decided to do some old school traditional focus groups. So we hired a facilitator to bring in some consumers. We had 4 different sessions. 3 groups fell into these 3 buckets, and then we had one session that was just kind of a miscellaneous catch-all. It was unique to kind of see this focus group kind of unfold behind closed doors. They didn't realize that even though they're all First Service Credit Union members already, they didn't realize that First Service Credit Union was the one conducting the focus groups. And so we were asking questions like, does our tagline resonate with you? What do you expect from your financial institution? What are some features that are must-haves in your digital banking app? And there was some insightful things. Some things we heard were pretty painful, things that you may not want to hear from your members, but things you needed to hear, especially when the facilitator is asking, so here in this group has actually heard of First Service Credit Union, and when you have 24 people in the session and only 2 raise their hands, it's pretty painful. Like our own members don't even know who we are.
Yeah, that is disappointing,
yeah,
to say the least. A quick show of hands, how many in here are you still using traditional focus groups to kind of gain these insights? Okay, so a few of you, okay. All right, so that is disappointing, and what that led to, though, was the need for more brand awareness, right? So you've these specific groups that you've targeted. these people are members. They don't know they're members, and they don't even know who you guys are. So obviously there's a need for more brand awareness, and that's where kind of you guys came to us, and we help you with multi-channel acquisition campaigns. You want to talk more about some of the creative that you guys built leveraging the insights from the segmentation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm lucky enough to have a tagline to work with that I can do a lot with, bank like you own the place. For some of you who may not be familiar with the structure of a credit union and what makes a credit union is that if you're a member of a credit union, you're an actual owner of the credit union. Unlike a bank, we don't have shareholders or investors that we have to deal with. So, a member once a year can vote on the board of directors, and those board of directors are elected to serve on their behalf on a volunteer basis. And we got some board of directors that have been on there 40, 45 years. So it's been, they've helped quite a bit. But, being that you are a member owner of a credit union, you truly can bank like you own the place. And what's weird about the Houston area is that it's kind of an anomaly where there hasn't been much consolidation in the Houston area as far as financial institutions are concerned. We're the 4th largest city in the United States, 7 million people, and we only have one credit union that's larger than 5 billion. So it's a little weird, and there's ample opportunities for consumers to decide where they want to bank, and so trying to be very intentional in how we stand out. And so when we kind of went to the drawing board figuring out what our approach is going to be, I was kind of reflecting growing up as a kid, and the things that always stood out to me as a kid were commercials that had some comedic effect to it, right? I mean, I still remember the 3 frogs from Budweiser, Bud, Wise, or Randy Savage snap into a Slim Jim.
Oh yeah!
Right?
We're in the same life stage group, so we remember those commercials.
But yeah, so we definitely wanted to take a comedic approach just so we can kind of stand out. And so I actually brought one of the commercials with me today, and I thought it's a great commercial. Just because the individual in this commercial is a member of the credit union and she banks like she owns the place because she is an owner, that doesn't really necessarily carry over to other areas in her life, like going through TSA at the airport.
At First Service Credit Union, I get amazing benefits because I'm an owner. I thought it should be like that everywhere. I can kiss those miles goodbye.
Amazing benefits and even better service. First Service Credit Union. Bank like you own the place.
It's a great ad.
It's a good one, yeah.
It is a good one. So everything's going great, right? You have the appended data, you have these insights, you use the data to inform kind of the creative, and then there's a roadblock. Talk about that roadblock.
So yeah, on the eve of launching a 90-day campaign with Claritas, there's this small company out there called Google who decided to get in the way, and they actually banned us due to egregious circumvention of rules. And the timing of this was pretty rough. Claritas had a lot of collateral set up, a lot of digital advertising ready to come out swinging. And I call you right before we go live, and we got to pivot, man. Google banned us.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful you guys were able to roll up y'all's sleeve and reallocate some of those resources. But dealing with the Google ban was rough because they're very vague in the reason why they ban you for various reasons. It's proprietary, and they don't want that to get out so people can manipulate it. So we were probably appealing 2 or 3 times a day. We probably appealed over 40 times, talking with our Google rep. She was just playing middleman. She couldn't even get us in touch with the folks that were actually doing the review of the appeal. Just like you lose your TV remote or your glasses, right? You're kind of always retracing your steps and trying to figure out where we went wrong. And so, we had been doing some adjustments to our website to increase SEO opportunities and there was something that was added to the account which Google didn't like, and it flagged us. And it's funny because we actually, when we were retracing our steps, we actually removed that file only 24 hours into the ban. And so when we kept appealing and we kept getting rejected, we were very baffled because we didn't really have much direction to go on. And it got so bad where our Google rep just told us that she can't help us anymore. There's nothing that she can do. Stop calling on this topic. I mean, Google really is large enough where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And it wasn't until we decided to go on the offensive and we hired an attorney out of California, and we decided to sue Google. So about a week or so went by, and we finally heard back from the Google reps, and they were able to finally give us some additional insight to why we were banned. And when we told them that this file had been removed already for 35 days, 40 days, and we had to show proof that we removed it, they finally was able to lift that ban on us. So I guess my words of wisdom to you is, just because you might be a smaller institution or you think you're going up with Google, don't be afraid to go on the offensive, because in the end it paid out. I mean, Google drives in 40% of our business, so it wasn't like we can just ignore this issue. It's a large part of who we are. So it was definitely a fight, but I'm glad we were able to prevail, and with you guys being flexible helped us out quite a bit.
Sure, it's a first for everything. We didn't see that coming. But the good news is you prevailed, and it's a kind of a David versus Goliath type situation, and we're glad that it came out, well. So I think basically from there we kind of just picked up where we left off, and we immediately turned to an auto refi campaign and partnering with you to work on that campaign, and it had pretty good results. So when it comes to measurement, Claritas, we have an identity graph. And so when we build an audience for a client, at the end of that campaign, we ask that the client sends back a file of all the new members or customers that they brought on within that time frame. We take that file and we can match it back to the initial audience file that we built, which allows you to look at performance metrics like return on ad spend, ROI, other data points to help you quantify the value of the campaign. And so both campaigns performed very well. We had an ROAS of $105, attributable deposits of $7.8 million, an advertising lift of 361%, and the cost per new member was very good at $30. The auto refi campaign performed very well as well. The attributable auto refis were over 1,500, and the refi balances were over 19 million. And so that kind of led into other results as well that I'll let you speak to.
Yeah, so we're actually starting to see some of the fruits of our labor pay off, and we're having record membership growth in the credit union now. We broke the record, our personal record, in January, and then we broke it again in March. But on the left-hand side, you'll see this is consumer loans originated in millions, and on the right here, you'll see memberships. But I mean, you can see before we really started to leverage Claritas, and Claritas picked up right here. We really started to take off like a rocket. And one of the big things actually that has helped us was when we do our auto recapture, we obtain a list from the credit bureaus, and we then know which members that we're going to target and try to offer an inducement to have them refinance their vehicle with us. But one of the things that we were obtaining from the credit bureaus was consumers' email addresses. And so we try to time it that when the direct mail starts hitting people's inboxes, that they're also getting an email, and so they're kind of starting to correlate First Service Credit Union, and we're going to be top of mind for them. And those bounce back rates on the emails that we're getting from the credit bureaus was pretty high. It was like 50, 60%. It wasn't very clean list of emails. And just like any other marketer likes to do, some good old-fashioned A and B testing. So we decided to try some and leverage Claritas even more. And so that list that we had got from the credit bureaus, we bounced that off Claritas, and they were able to kind of clean up that report for us. And the emails that we're using now from Claritas, our bounce back rate is much lower, and so campaigns have been much more successful, and you can see that paying off here.
Largest month of new member growth in the history of the credit union. We're very proud of that. I know you are as well. You guys have been in business for 75 years?
47.
47, all right. Close enough.
We rehearsed this. You're supposed to remember that.
I know, but there's a lot of people here. So anyways, things were very well. They were successful campaigns. And why don't you talk for a second about nurturing the Y3 life stage group? So it's one thing to help you bring on new members and acquire new members, but once you get that member on board, you've got to be able to cross-sell and upsell and retain them. How did you guys do that?
Yeah, and a lot of times people would come to the credit union for their loan, and while we're very happy to have their loan, we also want to become their primary financial institution. You know, Claritas, they're really strong at getting people to the door and into the credit union, but from there you got to make sure that you have tools to nurture these relationships so they can become full-fledged members. And one of the things that we've begun leveraging is we partnered with a company called Acoustic, and they've allowed us to they have a system that taps into our core system that follows our members and provides an onboarding workflow for them. And so if a member signs up and they haven't registered or downloaded digital banking, well, we know that they're going to get a personalized email made out to them to get set up with digital banking. Same thing with direct deposit. If we see that they haven't gone through our direct deposit workflow inside digital banking, they'll be getting an email walking them through that process, and amongst other things like making sure their card's in their digital wallet. So, you know, if they've only been with the credit union for a few days and we see that they haven't added their card to their digital wallet yet, they'll be getting a personalized email to do that. And so having a journey for members to become acclimated with the credit union has been very helpful, because sometimes it can be a little overwhelming learning the new digital banking and getting bills switched over and trying to time all your bill pays and subscriptions. And so having an easy process for your members to follow has worked wonders.
Yeah, and we're excited about what comes next in terms of the segmentation refresh. Every year, Claritas updates the segmentation model, so we always encourage clients to refresh the coding they have on their file, refreshing those codes, those segments. You can see 35% to 45% segment shift year over year. And so what we're going to be doing soon is refreshing the codes that are on First Service's files so that they can clearly see what those segment shifts look like. And we would expect that there would be quite a few new Y3, M2, F2s that are coming on.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, Mike,
Sure.
is one thing that we kind of learned early on when we were trying, before we fully leaned in, and we were still learning segments and how it works. We had actually bought the cycle codes through a reseller and before partnering directly with Claritas. And we didn't really know this in the beginning, but the information that we were buying from the reseller is already a year old. They're using old data. And so by partnering with Claritas directly, we're able to get that data in a much more current format, essentially. I mean, things are moving fast, and you need to be able to keep up with the economy and consumers, and making sure that you have fresh data and current data has been pretty helpful too. So.
Yeah, we love our reseller clients, but it really is important to make sure that you're using the most up-to-date data. It's not unheard of for someone to come to us directly and find out that they're using data that's 2 to 3 years old, which means that you're targeting the wrong segments with the wrong products based on that segment code that's shifted year over year. What else we're doing is, so measurement's really important. We acquired a new technology called AIO, which is AI optimization, and it basically is replacing DCO in terms of dynamic creative optimization. The technology is optimizing at the individual impression level who sees which creative and what variation of the creative in milliseconds. And so we're going to be testing this with First Service soon, and we expect to see some really strong results. So just to recap how to outperform competitors in 3 steps, you start with a solid foundation of segmentation, audit your current data partners, make sure that you're using the most up-to-date, accurate information. Step 2 is using the data-driven insights to guide your marketing outreach. Again, what First Service did is they allowed the data to kind of dictate who they're targeting, how they're targeting, the creative that they use to do that targeting. And having a plan for when things go wrong. No one saw the Google issue coming at all. I mean, it was really unprecedented, at least in our view, but we were able to pivot as a partnership. And so actually all of the impressions and the ad spend that were going to go towards display, we were immediately able to pivot and put them towards social till this issue resolved itself. And then step 3, invest in measurement solutions. It's obviously important to be able to quantify the impact of your campaigns. One of the things that I kind of left out here is that we're launching several new products, so a multi-touch attribution, different types of sales lift that are going to be able to get a more granular view at how well the campaign is performing. If there's no other questions, again, we appreciate you joining. And if you have any additional questions later, you could come to the Claritas booth, or you can reach out to Nolan directly, and Waltman at fscu.com.